What's going on, everyone? My name is Tom from Dreadlabs, and today we're going to talk about 3 designers that flip the same idea.
Dreadlabs.
Alright, so this is the second episode of 3 designers flip the same idea. The first one is, I think, almost over half a year ago. There was a little bit of a delay and some problems that I experienced with putting up these episodes because they take a lot more time to edit and of course to gather around enough designers that want to participate in this and have the time to participate in this. But yeah, if you don't know what this series is about, basically in this video series I've come up with a prompt and 3 different designers take on this prompt, and it's pretty much kind of an open prompt. And yeah, we're gonna take a look at to see what they came up with, what their art direction was like, why they made certain decisions and how they made certain decisions. So this is also a super inspiring time for me as well, because I can see what the thought process of other designers are, and that's always something that really gets me going in terms of creativity and finding inspiration. So yeah, I'm super excited to start the second episode with you guys. So what we're gonna do now is take a look at what the briefing is and who the competing designers are. So for this episode we have a prompt that is a Rave flyer, and of course if you know me on my channel you know that I love me some Rave flyers. Basically this Rave flyer is not from the 90s but from the 2050s, so it's about 30 years in the future, and the setting is a little bit apocalyptic because the world is coming to an end in this scenario, and basically Dreadlabs will host the last rave ever on Earth. Basically there is no more saving the Earth, so we're all gonna go down, and if we're gonna go down, we're gonna go down in a super sick party. So that's basically the assignment for the designers today. So the only thing that they have to use is a smiley icon, so I wanted to keep it really open. Designers can do with this whatever they like, as long as they use it, and that's just because then I have one certain thing that keeps both of these 3 designs in union. So who are the competing designers for today? So the first designer is MadeByMotel. You might have seen his work either on Instagram or on Reddit. He comes up with these super sick 3D artworks. He used to be really big on Instagram and Reddit by making bootleg album covers, as well as super nice vintage collages. I'm a huge fan of his work, so I'm super happy to have him on the show today. But over the past few months, he has been really diving into 3D works, and he has been doing these super cool retro graphics as well as making his own character designs and combining that with the already super nice vintage texture style that we know him from. If you want to give him a follow, there's a link down in the description. So the second designer of today's series is Jan Petry. Jan Petry is a German designer from Berlin, and he does a lot of work in the techno scene. He has worked for the Third Room, which is a big techno concept in Germany, a ton of different techno artists and labels such as Arts Records. So I'm a huge fan of his work, so I reached out to him and see if he could do something with this series today. And he was able to chip in and show some of his process with you guys today. So yeah, super excited to have these guys on the show. And for the third designer, that's actually going to be me today. We had a little bit of an issue with finding a third designer, so I decided to chip in myself so we can get this episode up and running. So if you don't know me and this is the first video that you watch on my YouTube channel, my name is Tom. I run this channel called Dreadlabs, which is focused mainly around graphic design, music production and clothing, and I'm a freelance graphic designer and animator in the music industry as well. So with all of that out of the way, let's get started with the video series, and we'll start out with MadeByMotel. Alright, so this is the flyer that MadeByMotel came up with, and he was also kind enough to share some of his process in here. So yeah, the first look, of course, we are looking at some work of the Texture King. So yeah, there was never any question that this was going to be the one with the best textures on it. As you can also see, this looks a little bit more like some of his older work, and that's mainly because he actually made this a while ago, and I was just struggling to get this video up and running. So that's the reason why this video is basically going up a couple of months too late, and he in the meantime evolved his own style. So yeah, that's on me. Anyways, I absolutely love this style, and this is definitely the reason why I fell in love with this work. So as you can see, I think he also did a custom version of the smiley, and he was kind enough to also share with us a technique on how to make these super trippy fillings of the melt typography at the bottom left there. So what I really like about this poster as well is that it looks like there's a combination of a couple of Rave flyers from the same series, just copied and pasted over each other, so basically making a huge Rave collage. And as we can see, the party is called Melt, and I love that kind of dark overtone that has, the world's ending, melt, we're probably gonna melt ourselves. Another thing that hints towards that is the hotter than your average heat wave typography there in the middle. So yeah, I absolutely love this design, and what I really like about it is that you can take a look at it and then just dive deeper into all of these smaller sections of the flyer. And I also absolutely love the bring your own ketamine at the bottom left. Super sick flyer here. So I hope it was also kind of useful to take a look at a couple of techniques that MadeByMotel uses in order to get his designs this way. So I'm super grateful that he was able to share some of his work process with us. And yeah, just super glad to have him on the show today. So big shout out to him. And if you don't follow him already, there's a link to his Instagram down below. So the next one we're taking a look at is the one from Jan Petry, and I absolutely love how dark and twisted this is. We can see our smiley here getting flooded in the water and coming out in the back, and this definitely screams his design style. If you take a look at his Instagram, you can really see that minimalistic but still like super vintage looking animated flyers. I absolutely love those. You can see these type of artworks as well on like Boiler Room and stuff like that. And in the bottom here you can see the lineup, and I think the lineup is also consists of artists that he's worked for. I also love the dance like there's literally no tomorrow. So as you can see, this one is basically a little bit more focused around like the flooding, as the club location is Club Atlantis. So yeah, super cool design. I absolutely love how realistic the 3D looks as well. Not sure how he did that, but I also really love the ominous looking trees in the background. They kind of look already like kind of dead, so yeah, this super surreal feeling of impending doom in the background is definitely super like, I don't know, it definitely ties in well with the darkness of like techno that would probably be played at a party like this. So yeah, big shout out to Jan Petry. Let's take a look at a little bit of his process, because he also prepared a time lapse for us, so that's super nice to take a look at. Let's go.
Hey everyone, my name is Jan Petry, designer, artist, and everything in between it from Humane Studio. Thank you, Tom, for inviting me to Dreadlabs, and yeah, for this awesome series. I'm pretty excited what other artists will come up with, and yeah, really hyped overall about the concept. So yeah, I will give you a brief preview of like how I usually do my artworks for party promoters, and yeah, not only focusing on the overall artwork, but some tips I got for you, since I know it can be pretty tough once you doing artworks that should be on every platform and every way possible and still looking good. So I hope you learned something from it. I hope it's not too basic, but obviously I'm trying to stay cool, stay low for all of you who never done it before, and yeah, have fun. So I will explain you now step by step how I made my artwork with this asset. And yeah, the first thing I did was I saved this as the oldest .ai Illustrator is supporting, so I can just grab the AI and throw it into Cinema 4D. For some reason the newer .ais don't work in Cinema 4D, so make sure that you just save it as an old AI so you can put it into Cinema 4D. So what I came up with is basically this animation. I will show you real quick. I will show you without the waves, so it will be a bit quicker. So nothing too fancy. The world is full of water and the asset smiley just comes from underwater, and in the background there is some sort of trees who don't have any fruits, any leaves, like real dystopian shits, are just there in the background for the aesthetics. And yeah, this is like my overall decent animation, obviously with water. If you don't have hot 4D, I was working now in S22. In S24 I think they updated it a couple of days ago, but you need to pay for it. So in that case, if you only want to have some sort of waves going on, what you also can do is in Redshift, just grab a random normal noise like a RS Maximum noise, and what you can do is you can use it as a bump map. So I go here, overall bump input, as well as the displacement texture map. So with that you also can have an yeah, really waterish looking, like here this is like just a water material, and yeah, you will have some decent waves going on in case you don't have this plugin. But as I've said, in that case I've used this plugin, and yeah, what I made here is pretty easy, like just a redshift sky, a bit of environment, a bit of scattering going on, and yeah, the overall smiley is just extruded, so the path is extruded. I animated it and put a shining emitting texture on it. Like, I wanted to have this look of, it looks like more like ultraviolet light, so once it's graded, hopefully it looks like this. So this is like my overall Cinema 4D scene, and this is like usually really organic in my path, in my work path. So I just look that I got enough white space around it for the overall layout, for yeah, the whole lineup that can fit on it without destroying everything. And yeah, this is my process for animation. After that, I just render it out and yeah, jump right into InDesign. So over here in InDesign, how I usually start is thinking about what format is the client wanting. So in that case, my, let's say, primary format will be the square format for Instagram, which should be adapted into also the story format. In that case, I also put in here the Facebook page header and the Facebook event header. So always keep in mind, and this is like my biggest tip for you, always keep in mind that your pipeline suits the budget of your client, because as you can see, I'm using more than 3 programs, and it's a bit disturbing when you also do, let's say, info postings for ticket sales, etc., to have a pipeline with a lot of programs in it, because obviously you need to take care of it then, let's say, 10 or 15 times once you really need a lot of info postings, artist cards, etc. So always make sure that you really know what in the end the client needs, because in the past I really underestimated the workload I got from it, so learn from my mistake. So my layout, pretty like a quick and dirty one, obviously. It is answering all the W questions. So first thing that you want to be aware of as a user fastly scrolling through Instagram is the event title. In that case, Armageddon Open Air. Then the date should be also a very important thing, and where it should be. So in that case, Club Atlantis. And yeah, then the artwork. All these nice people over here, except of these 2 badasses, which is a little inside joke. If you know, you know. And yeah, once I've set up my layout, I would now export an PNG file from InDesign, so I can import it into my After Effects composition. So here we are in After Effects. Yeah, this is just a simple composition, 1080 times 1080. And what I first do is I import my .exr sequence, so my animation from Cinema 4D. What I forgot to tell you is I don't export it in exactly 1080 times 1080. I export it usually with a bit more of resolution. I think in that case it was like 1200 times 1200, because for the sake of the natural look, I love to put a camera shake adjustment layer on top of my footage. So the thing is, camera shakes, they crop in, and I don't want to have the loss of quality, so I usually export it with a bit more resolution. So I put it in here. Down at the bottom, here's our raw rendering, and let me tell you how, like, what kind of thoughts it went in here. So the techno community has a hyped color right now, which is a really lime, greenish, poisonous looking green. And what I also love is, let's say, blue together with a gray. So I usually don't do it. It's actually the first time I do it because I think it's a bit random, but in that case it was pre-calculated, so I put an invert layer onto my animation. So now you can see it has this lime color and this nice bluish sky. So let me enable the camera shake real quick. Oh, first of all we need to, as I've told you, scale it to 1080. Now crop in with a camera shake. There you go. So you also can put now an adjustment layer above it and do a bit of fine tuning, do your grading. I usually use Magic Bullet looks, simple lumetri color correction. In that case I won't show you that. I think everyone is familiar with it. And on top of that I use my favorite VHS filter from Universe, so Universe VHS. So I just randomly took this this preset. So now you got what I meant with blue and gray. I think it looks pretty good. So now what we are missing is our InDesign layout. So I will put it above the shake, so it's not a shaky text, and above the grading in case you did something, but below the VHS. So put it in here, scale it down to just quick and dirty for the sake of the length of the video. And yeah, now I'm pretty happy with the look already. What we also can do is take the invert layer from here and invert the text, but since actually I love the look, I won't do it actually. So yeah, this is my quick result. As I've said, I actually wanted to give you some quick tips about traps that I fell into. So hopefully you learned something from it, and if not, feel free to ask me more advanced questions on my Instagram. I think Tom put it in the description. So yeah, if you got any questions, feel free. And I hope you had fun, and I'm really excited to see what the other artists and designer came up with. And yeah, thanks for having me. Hopefully we will see each other again, and yeah, take care.
Alright, so let's take a look at my own flyer. I also did an animated flyer just like Jan, and the reason for that is because I just wanted to give a little bit of a combination in what I usually do in Illustrator and After Effects and in Cinema 4D, because I really like putting those programs together. Basically what I did was I came up with a party called Depraved, and that's because the word depraved kind of means like corrupt or wicked, and that's how I would like to see like the end. Well, not how I would like to see it, but it's basically how I would say that the world is coming to an end because of depraved or wicked people. So let's take a look at my time lapse together while I explain a little bit of my art direction and my methods along the way. So my idea was an animated Rave flyer that would be displayed on large screen as a final call to everyone in the world. I grabbed a 3D render out of a tunnel I had laying around. I think I got this from TurboScript originally, I'm not sure. And I also made a 3D model of the smiley. I used the lines to make tubes out of it so that it looked like a neon framework rotating. And then I combined those back into After Effects and added the text layout I made in Illustrator. In the process I used some industrial icons from Dreadshapes Volume 5. Out this Wednesday, by the way. I brought the layout back into After Effects and added some glow and flickering. And it started to look pretty cool in here, but I wanted to go the extra mile by adding in some noise. And I don't just mean a regular noise texture, I mean the Signal plugin from Zybex. This is my favorite After Effects plugin, and it'll make your content look like it's straight from an old VHS tape. So the reason I went in this direction, because you're probably wondering, well, the briefing is that this is supposed to be in 2050 and not in the 90s, but I presumed that the air would be filled up with like radioactive waves, which would be messing with the connection of like every image on every screen in the world. So I thought that would be a nice touch. I finished it up with a real-sized artwork as well, since those are the only thing that get engagement on Instagram anymore. And after that I called it a day. Alright everyone, yeah, there you have it. 3 designers that flipped the idea. I love how there were 3 completely different Rave flyers on here, even though we all had to use that smiley. And I love how we also got like 3 designs basically that were also super close to the usual art directions that me and the other 2 designers usually work in. So that's really nice to see that we also had that like freedom in this briefing. Of course it's a fake briefing, but still it's nice to see the process a little bit of other designers and how they would prefer to have their work look like, I guess. Anyways, a huge shout out to Jan Petry and MadeByMotel for making me be able to drop this video to you guys and for them like sharing a little bit of their process with you. So I hope it was also inspiring and educational for you guys. Let me know in the comments down below which one is your favorite. If you haven't already, please give these guys a follow. The link is down in the description. Can't stress this enough, these guys deserve all the followers they can get. So before we end up the video, I just want to give a quick shout out to all of my patrons, because they actually make me be able to make more videos for you guys. And if you want to get the project file for the animated flyer that I did in this video, that's actually available for you once you become a patron. So besides getting access to all of the project files from all of my tutorials and videos, you'll also get a 15% discount in my asset web store, as well as an exclusive Discord role. And if you go 1 tier up, you'll also be able to see exclusive tutorials. I recently put up a video how to make a death metal logo from scratch, if that's something that you want to learn. And you can unsubscribe anytime you want. Just know that it definitely helps me keep the channel up and running and keep up the weekly videos for you guys. If you don't have the money to support me on Patreon, that's completely fine. Giving a like, a comment and a subscribe on this channel already does enough. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. This was Tom from Dreadlabs tuning out, and I'll hopefully see you guys in the next video.